Thought of going to the beach for like a split second, and then I was like, oh, I don't want to brave the crowds and the parking lots, the patchy fog. So keep that in mind. It's pretty much going to be the pattern now all the way through Tuesday morning, and then we'll have some relief towards the end of the week as high pressure develops. So a lot of changes as we kick off your first full week of March. Here's what it looks like outside, this including Escondido as well as Ramona, seeing high 50s along the coastal areas from Oceanside all the way to San Diego. 58 degrees also out in Del Mar. Here's a quick look at high temperatures over the last 14 days. We are going to see those temperatures continue to the next 5 days across the inland valleys. We'll feel that noticeable cooling today, and then we'll continue to see those temperatures drop off Thursday until we warm up on Friday. We have another warm up in store this weekend. We'll talk more about those numbers ahead in my full forecast. All right, however, I am tracking some slowing now coming in from Chula Vista headed towards the mile of cars. Most of the slowing between East Street all the way towards the mile of cars, and then you can see those speeds start to increase once you get towards the Coronado Bridge. As we take a look at drive times, we're anywhere between 10 to 15 minutes to get you northbound in from Chula Vista, National City, about 5 full span of the Coronado Bridge, 3 to 7 minutes meanwhile for those drives out of the East County. All right, let's go ahead and pull up those border wait times at 6:15. We're tracking about an hour 48 to get time Mesa's port of entry, about 45 minutes at last check. I mean, yeah, I had my AC cranked, so yeah, thankfully I'm able to give it a break. I'm sure a lot of other people are too, because we're going to have relief from the heat as we kick off our first week of March, which I'm sure is good news to a lot of people. A trough of low pressure is going to enhance those winds coming out of the west, bringing in that cool, moist air. It's also going to bring some patchy fog with it, especially along the immediate coast now all the way through Tuesday morning. We're actually seeing some cloudy conditions. That's what's giving way for that gorgeous sunrise today. High temperatures across the board. On average, we should be in the upper 60s, low 70s for the coast and inland valleys. We'll be close to that for the coastal spots, but for the inland valleys, we'll still shoot anywhere between 5 to 6 degrees warmer than normal. But again, this is much relief in comparison to what we saw over the past several days. So our low pressure arrives, and we are looking at increasing clouds with the possibility for some heavy mist, spotty drizzle, and then we warm back up. So a bit of a fluctuation pattern going for the mountains and desert areas, but notice how everyone starts to cool down Thursday and Friday. It's pretty short-lived though, because we see those temperatures ramp back up by the time we get to the weekend. Back to you guys. A polar plunge. I just stuck my toe in. I was like, nope, not going in. Yeah, and on Friday, my mom and my grandma went to the zoo and they invited me. I was like, no, the heat peaks today. I'm good. So yeah, kudos to everyone who braced the heat and to get cloudy skies, especially along the immediate coast. 58 degrees right now in downtown San Diego. Winds are fairly light out of the northwest of about 3 miles per hour. Humidity levels are at about 90%. So we have that cool, moist air moving in. And that, of course, is going to give us relief from the brutal temperatures that we faced over the past few days. But incredible weather. I mean, we are still in winter. We had summer-like heat over the past couple of days. Current temperatures out the door were in the 40s and 50s across the coast and inland valley floors. High temperatures over the last few days. I mean, it has really been weather whiplash for us here in San Diego. We went from the 50s a couple of weeks ago into the 70s, 80s, eventually into the 90s last Friday. And now we're going to see those temperatures climb down. In fact, here's a sneak peek at what you can expect over the next 5 days. We have a a ridge of high pressure rather, that's going to take over towards the end of the week. And that's going to bring us quite the warm up. We'll talk more about that in detail ahead in my full forecast. All right, most of the slowing is occurring at about J Street all the way towards Mile of Cars. Meanwhile, on the 805 stop and go from about Market as you make your way up to the 15. As we go ahead and pull up travel times, we're anywhere between 12 to 25 to get you northbound in from the South Bay. If you're traveling in fact, it is reducing visibility for some neighborhoods, including Miramar and Kearny Mesa. They're down to nearly a quarter mile of vis, and we're down to 0 miles. Finally start to feel some relief as we have kind of a switch in the weather pattern, a trough of low pressure, a couple of them swinging on through this week. As we take a look outside, we have a thick cloud deck hanging overhead, especially along the coastal areas. It is reducing visibility a little bit, and we'll showcase those numbers in a moment. But if you live along the beach, the immediate coast, you may want to leave time for travel. travel because I am seeing visibility drop off for some spots. All right, happy Monday. We have made it to the start of the work week. Here's what you need to know as we get the first full week of March going. We have cooler weather ahead. We will have a return of onshore flow bringing in breezy. We are seeing it dropping off in Miramar, spots like Kearney Mesa as well as Fallbrook, right along the 15 as you cross into San Diego from Riverside County. Conditions right now, we are waking up quite cool, so grab a jacket, especially if you're hanging along the Inland Valley communities. That's where we're waking up in the low 50s. Meanwhile, mid to high 50s for most of the coastal and beach neighborhoods. Big picture, onshore flow will strengthen all due to this trough of low pressure that will enhance those westerly winds, bringing in gusts anywhere between 25 to 40 miles per hour, mainly for the mountains and desert areas with a nice sea breeze along the coastal areas. But what we'll notice overall are much cooler temperatures. In fact, begins early Sunday morning, so make sure that you're switching or I should say putting the clocks up ahead 1 hour before you go to bed on Saturday, but most of the digital clocks do it for you. Notice how daytime highs will drop about 10 to 15 degrees starting today, and we'll actually see one of the coolest days on Thursday, and then we'll have warming in time for the weekend. All right, taking a look at your traffic, fine between the 125 and Mast, down about 25 mile per hour speeds, 40 mile per hour speeds coming in from La Mesa and Grossmont, headed west this morning. And we're now starting to see our usual backups out of the South Bay, both on the 5 and the 805 speeds, down about 15 to 25 miles per hour or so. Smooth sailing coming in from Oceanside, a little bit of a different story though, coming in from Escondido. Stop and go as you get towards Felicita, the Citricado area. Breaking heat, we finally have some relief in store as we kick off your first full week of March. All right, sun rose at about 5:45. We have some uneven clearing. Here's a live look from one of our mountain sky cams. You can see that highs will be anywhere between 5 to nearly 15 degrees cooler than yesterday. We stay on this trend of cooler weather all the way through the end of the week with warming as we enter the weekend. Saturday this is 8 in both directions. We're right at Lake Murray. In terms of speeds, we're at average speeds mainly across the county. We'll be back after this. We'll have the return of onshore flow, meaning breezy westerly winds with isolated gusts targeting our mountains and desert areas up to 35, 40 miles per hour or so. And we're also dealing with patchy fog now all the way through tomorrow morning. In fact, visibility continuing to drop off, and it's pretty widespread as far as the patchy fog goes from the coast all the way towards the Inland Valley floors. We're seeing the worst of it in terms of reduced visibility for spots like Miramar as well as Kearney Mesa, down to 0 along the 15 for neighborhoods like Fallbrook. So as you enter San Diego from Riverside County, you may notice visibility just all of a sudden dropping off. Conditions right now, we are waking up comfortable in the high 50s across spots like Ivy, Carlsbad, as well as Ramona and Julian. We're a little warmer in downtown San Diego at 62 degrees, our urban island there, urban heat island. All right, big picture. This is at 500 millibars aloft, and everything that happens aloft around that elevation determines what we feel and what we see at the surface. So we will have a couple troughs of low pressure, and that will enhance onshore flow, meaning those westerly winds over the next several days. This is the first one, and then we have a secondary one. This one's going to drop a lot more south, and that's going to bring additional cooling come Wednesday and Thursday, which is why Thursday is actually looking like one of the coolest days of the entire work week. As I mentioned, onshore winds are going to be enhanced, especially for the mountains and desert areas, strengthening later on this evening. Isolated gusts could top out anywhere between 30 to 35 miles per hour or so, and then we'll have a nice sea breeze for those areas west of the mountains. As we take a look at high temperatures, we will be all the way through the rest of the week for the coastal areas, but we do have a climb in daytime highs once ridging takes over, rebounds come this weekend. And as always, you can find this is for the coast. All right, let's westbound drive as you make your way towards the college area. Things are starting to get congested, pretty busy as you make your way inbound from La Mesa and Grossmont Center this morning. If you're coming in from Santee or La Mesa, speeds anywhere between 25 to about 40 miles per hour or so. We're now seeing a crawl coming in from Chula Vista headed towards National City. Stop and go from the 54 on the 805 north as you make your way into Mission Valley down to about 20 mile per hour speed. So this is typical for this 17 to 20, both from Oceanside as well as Escondido. Back to you guys. We are finally going to feel some relief today, all due to the return of onshore flow, ushering in much cooler temperatures. You likely feel the difference if you've already stepped outside this morning. We have seen temperatures cool down, but now we're seeing not only the influx of clouds, but it's reducing our visibility as well. So across our current visibility maps here, we're seeing reduced viz out in spots like Miramar as well as Fallbrook, down to about 0 up to a quarter mile or to where we should be for this time of year. Meanwhile, here's a look at your inland 7-day forecast. We continue to see temperatures drop off Wednesday and Thursday as towards the College area. I know a lot of people were cranking them on over the weekend because it was just so hot. I mean, we had summer-like heat, warm enough to break temperatures across the board. And today we are finally going to see those temperatures let up a bit. All right, 8:09 is the time. This is a live look that's going to contribute to cooler weather for the rest of the week. As we take a look at our winds, they will have an uptick later on tonight, especially for the mountains and desert areas. Isolated gusts could get up to 35 miles per hour or so. And we will see some patchy fog. You have likely noticed those low-level clouds this morning that will stick with us all the way through Tuesday. Visibility right now in pretty bad shape for spots like Fallbrook as well as Miramar. Meanwhile, improvement the more south that you are along the 5 and the 805 from downtown all the way to IB. Meanwhile, not too bad, but still pretty patchy up in Oceanside near Camp Pendleton, and then there's improvement once you get down to Carlsbad before it drops back off again towards Kearney Mesa. Current temperatures right now as you head out the door, we're mostly in the high. We'll have those gusts exceed anywhere between 25 to 40 miles per hour, mainly for the mountains and deserts, because once they descend down the mountains along the eastern slope, they speed up and they also warm the surrounding air parcels. There's that secondary trough of low pressure, and that's going to bring us even cooler weather Wednesday and Thursday. So here's what it looks like as we have a climb in daytime highs for both the deserts as well as on the off-ramp, partially blocked in Lemon Grove on the 94 East to the 125. Seen those westerly winds coming off the coast making their way onshore. As we take a look at today's highs, I mean, just an incredible cool down that we're take a look at your 7-day forecast for the inland valleys. We will drop down to the 70s, even more so on Thursday. That's likely going to be the coolest day of our 7-day outlook, and then temperatures will start to rise back up. And saying hello to the month of March. We do have cooler weather ahead. If you stepped outside today, you have probably noticed the influx of those mid to high level clouds that will stick with us through most of the week, and that will usher in cooler temperatures, all due to a trough of low pressure. We are going to see breezy westerly winds with isolated gusts up to about 35 miles per hour or so, and some patchy fog. In fact, we're seeing those numbers reduced for some areas along the 15 as well as parts of the 5 freeway. We'll showcase those numbers in a moment. In fact, here they are. We're down to 0 miles right now. As you enter San Diego in from Riverside, you will see visibility drop off for spots like Fallbrook as well as Miramar and Kearney Mesa. Not as bad as the numbers we were tracking about half an hour ago, so we are seeing visibility improving as we're progressing into the morning hours. Conditions right now as you head out the door, it is comfortable. We're in the 60s for most areas. The higher in elevation you go, up in Julian, we're waking about 57 degrees, so a little cooler there. All right, more further south, and this is going to bring some cooling, especially Wednesday and Thursday. So as we take a look at what this, but notice how those numbers continue to climb down all the way through Thursday. Thursday is looking like one of our coolest days of the next 7, and then we'll have a climb in daytime highs come this weekend. So don't hold your breath when it comes to those cooler conditions. Take advantage because we do have a ridge of high pressure that will eventually rebound come Saturday and Sunday, and that will bring our temperatures back up to the upper 70s and low 80s. And don't forget, we are beginning daylight savings Saturday night into early Sunday, so make sure that you're putting your clocks ahead 1 hour before you go to bed on Saturday. All right, brake tapping as you're making your way up the 8. That was due to an overturned crash blocking the middle lane of the 5. We are also tracking this on the 94. It looks like the off-ramp partially blocked at Lemon Grove on the 94 eastbound to the 125, and that was due to a crash as well. Let's go ahead and pull up those. Most of the congestion starts at the 125 and then continues all the way to Mast, and then those speeds start to improve once you get up the summit. Meanwhile, here's what it